What is the cheapest thing you bought that turned out to be very valuable or expensive? Nothing crazy. But years ago I was throwing a Mad Hatter tea party for my daughter and decided to get teacups at the thrift store so kids could take them home after if they wanted. Found a set of 11 cups and saucers for 99 cents each and loved them. I'd wanted mismatch for the kids but loved the design. I bought them for myself. Tried to search them online to see if I could find a 12th and maybe a tea coffee pot carafe, and found them listed individually for around $20.40 and the pots for over $150. Didn't ever buy the 12th, and with my luck they're full of lead but still pretty. After my office chair broke, I was going to go to a cheap furniture store the range to get another crappy chair for €150, which was the most I could spend at the time. I stopped by a second-hand furniture store in my town, and they had a sturdy-looking office chair, steel wool frame instead of plastic, fairly comfy. Seemed like they'll last some time. For €50. I bought one, and few months later decided to look up what kind of chair is it. Turns out it's a Herman Miller Mirror 2, which seemed to retail for around €1,300 more than I paid. I saw a very nice vintage lamp on a Facebook group and thought I'd get one if I ever see one for a good price. Suddenly I saw a floor lamp from that series for $100 and went for it. The girl also had a matching table and ceiling lamp and sold the 3 lamps to me for $150 in total. They all work and are well taken care of. I'm absolutely obsessed with them. Those are Hollywood Regency lotus flower lamps and can either be sold dirt cheap by people not knowing what they have, or go for $300,800 a piece for those that know what they have. Bought a nice beach painting in a thrift store in Florida. The artist was Alfred Hare of the Florida Highwaymen. The painting is a twin to one that hangs in the National Gallery. You explore stories highwayman segregation-era Florida artists sold and often painted roadside. More importantly to me is that the purchase led to me meeting and making friends with several of the highwaymen. I bought a book from the 1500s for $500. It is an old Reformation-era Latin Bible commentary. It is made of cowskin stretched over wood for the covers, and gorgeous religious symbols are embossed on it. It is really well preserved, as the pages are almost like a fabric. Less complete works in worse condition often go to $2,000 also. All of the first pages are intact. Many book collectors might know that the first 20 or so pages tend to fall out of old books. I bought an unremarkable red crosshead screwdriver from second-hand store at the age of 10. It was my treasured screwdriver that just fit into all of my bikes, mostly mopeds and motorcycles. It never slipped and served me well. After 2 decades I stumbled on the concept of JIS and understood what I had had in the toolbox all those years. The accumulated good feeling from that piece of equipment has been more valuable to me than any monetary win from cheap items. I got a box of vinyl records from a family friend. Went on Discogs to add them to my existing collection. One was an original press of some obscure folk musician. Apparently pretty rare. They were going anywhere from $300 to $900. I had a guy message me asking for photos, videos. I sent him some. He asked the price. I said name me an offer. He said $500. I said sold. He was a mega fan and super happy. And I was happy to have $500. A book by Don Miguel Ruiz called For Agreements. $12.99 at Barnes & Noble. The book sums up the life lessons to live by, and ever since reading it, I can honestly say I've been a much happier person with little to no stress in my life. For those who don't want to read between the lines, the 4 agreements are: don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions. Be impeccable with your word. Always do your best. I went to an auction last year, looking for tools. They had an old busted-up jukebox. I had no interest in it. They started bidding at $500 before going down to $25. I bid and no one else did. Dragged it home and was trying to figure out what I was going to do with it. A jukebox broker I had chatted with before the auction got a hold to see if I ended up buying it. He then gave me $2,000 for it. I owned it for about a week. I picked up a 5x10 surface grinder for $150. I made sure to ask the guy make sure he hadn't transposed a decimal. Nope. $150. It's a beautiful machine. TMR later bought by Harrig. Fresh paint. There's a little bit of scoring on the ways, but nothing a precision flat stone couldn't take care of. I recently ground the chuck in and surface ground a pair of 1 to 3 blocks I made, parallel to less than a tenth. No something I bought, but still a good fit. When we were growing up, my dad got a hunting knife for Christmas, did the same for me when I was the same age. He got it for about $75 at a hardware store. Last time I looked it up, it is discontinued and very collectible, roughly $1,200 now. And every deer season my brother still beats the shit out of that knife, which I'm sure collectors would hate. In 1993 I bought a hardcover copy of Roald Dahl's The Witches at a Friends of the Library remaindered book sale for 60 cents. It is in well-circulated condition. It is also number 300 of 300 of a signed edition. It was signed by both Roald Dahl and Quentin Blake. I'm sure it's not worth a ton, without the slipcase, and in well-circulated condition, but I bet it's worth a lot more than 60 cents. 1 ounce silver I traded approx $58 Canadian dollars for close to 2 ounces prices at the time. Serial number for stamped right at the back out of a supposed 1,000 made for the design in the 1970s. Survived the big melt in the 80s. Put it on Facebook Marketplace when it was starting out just to see how it went. One guy offered $600, then eventually offering $1,000. Maybe not cheap, but in 2012 I bought 2 bottles of high-quality bourbon pappies for $250 each as I knew it was popular and reputed to be good, and I wanted to try it. I drank 1 bottle over the course of the next year, but saved the other. While that remaining bottle is now worth in the vicinity of $5,000, and I'm very hesitant to actually drink it. Not me, but my friend's grandmother was at a yard sale and bought a framed sketch cause she thought it looked neat. Turned out to be a genuine Picasso sketch. No idea what it was worth, but she paid like $1 for it. I should also add that his grandmother was already filthy rich, so she just hung it up and was like, meh, that's neat. US $1.50 for a hardback Foundation Trilogy by Isaac Asimov book at the regional library sale, getting rid of surplus, I guess. Turned out to be a signed, leather-bound copy of the Foundation Trilogy published by Eastern Press. Book search title signed Eastern Press Foundation Trilogy author Isaac Asimov. Mountain Dew limited edition flavors. Picked up a bunch of 20 ounces bottles and cases of 12 ounces cans around 2005 after seeing collectors pay a lot for discontinued Surge and such. Ended up selling most for $100,200 a piece about a year ago. Ended up using most of the money to fix my drywall and carpet after most of the cans exploded. I won U2's first single, 1,000 of which were released only in Ireland in 1979, and hand-numbered, from the radio show competition that determined which track would be on the A-side. Had I paid for it, it would have been £1 and 49 pence. Today I'm negotiating selling it for between $3,000 $5,000. Not too shabby. I bought a lot of Nintendo DS 3DS games for either retail or $10 $20 pawn stores in the mid-2010s. Now, the least expensive ones are going $75, some over $500. No, I'm not going to sell them. A few years ago I also got about $200 worth of Lego sets new in the box, still sealed, for $25. I used to buy comic books for less than $1 when I was a kid back in the 80s. I think most were like 60 cents. Anyway, my current collection is worth hundreds of thousands of dollars because I also bought those plastic bags and acid-free cardboard backs, and all of them are in mint condition. Bought the Pioneer Damascus knife from Victorinox for $150 back in 2010 on a whim from a knife shop. Come to find out, it's very desirable since there were only 2010 of them made. Best I can find, since these aren't really ever sold. It could fetch somewhere around $5,000 if I sold it today. I bought a handsaw at an estate clearance shop. Cleaned it up, and it was a 70-year-old Spear and Jackson's saw with the top range medallion on it. I'm pretty sure I paid £2 for the saw. It's worth way more than that, but I quite like it. Was the first saw I ever sharpened myself. Got into the GameStop short squeeze pretty early. Made several $1,000s without any work or contribute to society. It was nice. I felt like a banker for a short time, lording over the peasants. I wish I would have had more liquid money at the time to buy more. I took the cheapest art class at the local art school for continuing ed. It wasn't cheap, but relative to the others it was. Anyway, it got me so invested I ended up using the skills professionally and personally. Made some great friends and boosted my confidence. I brought a small glass orb for $25 at a street fair as I thought it was cool. For 4 years it was sitting on my desk. A client came into my office and stated if it was authentic it is valuable. Appraised over $10,000, not on my desk any longer.